Good evening, everyone. A very warm good evening to each and every one of you watching this session. Once again, a warm welcome from BioPoint in the world of Bio. Yes, we are back once again with yet another live lecture. The topic, chapter breathing and exchange of gases. The lecture number 4 here. What we are going to learn is about the gaseous exchange and the transport of gases. Yes. So let's move on. So here reminding you to join our Telegram group. If you haven't become a member of BioPoint till now, do join our Telegram group. The link is there in the description box and it is t.me/neat_bypoint. Yes, you will be getting daily session updates, Telegram quizzes, study materials, and mentor doubt clearance right at our Telegram group. So do not forget to join and become a part of BioPoint. And do like, share, and subscribe the channel so that the further videos will be getting as a notification for you as well if you press the bell icon all and enable the all option. Yes. So let's move on without wasting our time to the topic exchange of gases. From the chapter breathing and exchange of gases, one of the most important topic. Yes. So exchange of gases. Alveoli are the primary sites of gas exchange as we have discussed in the human respiratory system. You might know that at the end of terminal bronchioles, you can see certain structures tightly bound each other by highly bound each other by blood capillaries. Yes. So such a structures are known as what alveoli, and these alveoli are the primary sites of gaseous exchange, or they are the site of gaseous exchange, and where oxygen and carbon dioxide is exchanged or diffused. Okay, exchange or diffuse. So, or gaseous exchange occurs by the process of simple diffusion. Alveoli means the primary site of gaseous exchange, which is the terminal. It is present at the terminal end of bronchiole. Yes, and these sites helps in the exchange of oxygen or carbon dioxide within the blood and the lungs. Yes. So gaseous exchange occurs between two parts, that is alveoli and blood. First set is alveoli and blood. Second set is blood and tissues. Yes. In these two regions are the main gaseous exchange occurring. That is, oxygenated blood should be collected back to circulate to the tissue. So such a gaseous exchange occurs between alveoli and blood, and the further used blood is just brought back, and that is such an exchange is occurred by blood and tissue. So such gaseous exchange process are occurring, and this is all about uh, the introduction of gaseous exchange and about alveoli. Is it clear? So factors influencing gaseous exchange. Gaseous exchange depends on following factors such as pressure or concentration gradient. The very first thing is pressure or concentration gradient. Second one, solubility of gases. Third one, thickness of membranes. Fourth one, surface area of respiratory membrane. These are the four factors in which gaseous exchange depends. Yes. So it might be depending the variation in pressure or the concentration gradient, the solubility of gases, the thickness of the membranes through which it has to pass, and through the surface area of the respiratory membrane, that is the lungs, the surface area of structures of lungs. So this minute alveoli, this numerous alveoli are present in the lungs to increase its surface area for absorption, right? So let's discuss each of these factors in detail. And the very first thing is pressure or concentration gradient. What is this pressure or concentration gradient? Yes, pressure of an individual gas is in a mixture of gases that is represented as PO2. What is PO2? PO2 refers to partial pressure of oxygen. PCO2, that is referred to as the partial pressure of carbon dioxide. So individual pressure of a gas in a gaseous mixture is referred to as its partial pressure. Yes, and that is represented as PO2 for oxygen and PCO2 for carbon dioxide. Is it clear? And next a chart is given for you to denoting the partial pressure of oxygen and carbon dioxide in millimeter of Hg, that is mercury, in different various mediums. That is, in case of atmospheric air, the partial pressure of oxygen is 159, and carbon dioxide it is 0.3. The partial pressure of oxygen in alveoli is 104 and 40 of that of carbon dioxide in alveoli. Deoxygenated blood, partial pressure of oxygen is 40, partial pressure of carbon dioxide in deoxygenated blood is 45. Partial pressure of oxygen in oxygenated blood is 95, partial pressure of carbon dioxide in oxygenated blood is 40. Partial pressure of oxygen in uh, tissues is 40, partial pressure of carbon dioxide in tissues is 45. And that's about the table given here about the respiratory gases and the various changes of partial pressure of oxygen and carbon dioxide in these mediums. Is it clear? And now what we are going to check is the exchange of oxygen, right? So before moving on to that, let's discuss some more things about these factors. So partial pressure of oxygen in alveoli, that is 104 millimeter Hg, is more than that in blood capillaries, that is 40 mm of Hg. So oxygen diffuse into blood capillary. So in case of the alveoli, the partial pressure of oxygen is greater than that of the partial pressure of oxygen in blood capillary. So the movement of oxygen, oxygenated blood from alveoli to the blood capillary occurs. Yes, so oxygen diffuses into the capillary blood. PCO2 in deoxygenated blood is more, that is 45 mm of Hg, than that in alveolus 40 mm Hg. So carbon dioxide diffuses back to alveolus. So from the blood collected into the tissue, collected by the tissues after metabolic activities, the value of deoxygenated blood will be much more than that of the value of carbon dioxide in deoxygenated blood is much more than that of the value of carbon dioxide in oxygenate, I mean in the alveoli. So what happens? The blood diffuses back to the alveoli. Carbon dioxide rich blood diffuses back to the alveoli. And that's about pressure or concentration gradient. Is it clear? Okay, fine. Next factor that we have to learn is the solubility of gases. Solubility of gases, that is solubility of carbon dioxide is 20 to 25 times higher than that of oxygen. Yes, if you are checking that, you will be able to understand that in case of carbon dioxide, the solubility of carbon dioxide in blood might be 20 to 25 times greater than that of oxygen. So hemoglobin or the pigment in RBC has a higher affinity towards this carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. Yes, so the amount of carbon dioxide that can diffuse through diffusion membrane per unit difference in partial pressure is much higher than that of oxygen. Yes, so the rate or the value of carbon dioxide that can be diffused through the membrane will be much higher than that of the diffusion rate of oxygen. Yes, therefore, solubility of carbon dioxide might be 20 to 25 times higher than that of oxygen. Is it clear? The third factor that is influencing is the thickness of the membrane. How thickness of the membrane is affecting gaseous exchange. So diffusion membrane is made up of 3 layers. That is squamous epithelium of alveoli, endothelium of alveolar capillaries, basement substance between them. These are the 3 layers that is the thickness membrane of an alveoli is constituting, or the diffusion membrane is constituting. This diagram is very important. A previous year need question. Yes. So here, if you look here, you can see the squamous epithelium, the endothelium of alveolar capillary, and the basement substance. Yes. So these 3 are the different membranes or diffusion membranes present, and its total thickness, the total thickness of all these 3 is only 0.5 micrometer, and this enables easy gaseous exchange. Yes, easy gaseous exchange is enabled by this thickness of these 3 diffusion membranes, and that is just 0.5 micrometer. Is it clear? Yes. So if it's perfectly fine till now, give me thumbs up on the screen. Do it fast. Thank you everyone for your responses. So let's move on with the further slides. Yes, the last and final factor that is influencing gaseous exchange, that is the surface area of respiratory membrane or lungs. So surface area of human lung is equal to that of a tennis court. Yes. So if you check here, you cannot see the lungs that are equal to that of a tennis area of a tennis court, right? So how such a surface area is increased in the lungs? So this lungs, in order to increase its surface area, it finally divides into different branches, and at the end of these branches, you have this alveoli. Yes, if you look here, you can have this alveoli. So this presence of alveoli increases the surface area of lungs, and that increases the gaseous exchange. Yes. So what is the function of alveoli? It is a gaseous exchange. So increase in alveoli refers to increase in gaseous exchange. So that's all about exchange of gases. And now what we are going to discuss is about the transportation of gas. Yes, transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide. So exchange of oxygen, if you are just going to have a recap, you will know that the blood blood coming through to the alveolus might be having 40 mmHg of oxygen. Partial pressure of oxygen will be 40 mmHg, and the oxygen in the alveoli has PO2 104 mmHg. Right. So what happens? Oxygen diffuses from high partial pressure to low partial pressure. So here oxygen in alveoli diffuses into the blood vessels, and the oxygenated blood reaches the tissue, and PO2 in tissues is mostly 40 mmHg. Therefore, it gets transported. It gets exchanged. Yes. Then what about exchange of carbon dioxide? Exchange of carbon dioxide is done due to the difference in partial pressure of carbon dioxide and tissues, that is 45 mmHg. So it is diffused into the blood where partial pressure of carbon dioxide is 40 mmHg. So from low partial pressure region to high partial pressure region, it starts to diffuse. Yes. So this diffusion membrane, as we have discussed, consists of 3 layers, and they have a very thin thickness, that is 0.5 micrometer, and such a very thin thickness enables easy gaseous transport. Is it clear? And that's about gaseous exchange. And now we are moving on with the transportation of these gases. In this region or in this topic, what we have to focus is about the transport of two particular gases, that is oxygen and carbon dioxide. Yes, that is from the transportation from alveoli to the blood, and from blood to the tissues, and back to alveoli. So this is the major system or major direction or the part of transportation, and from how it is transported and what all are the process are what we are going to learn from this topic. Is it clear? So if it's perfectly fine till now, give me hearts on the screen. Do it fast. Yes. So let's move on. So next topic is the transport of gases, and in this, it is the transport of respiratory gas, that is oxygen and carbon dioxide, from alveoli to systematic tissues and vice versa. So transport of these gases is occurring, that is oxygen transport from lungs to tissues and carbon dioxide transport from tissues to lungs. Yes. So this oxygen transport, that is in physical solution, these two regions we have to learn, that is in blood plasma as well as oxyhemoglobin. So oxygen will be transported along with blood plasma, and the second transport might be as oxyhemoglobin. So these are the two oxygen transports. Yes. Then about, if you are going to check about carbon dioxide transport, it has 3 parts, that is as carbonic acid, as carbaminohemoglobin, and as bicarbonates. Yes. Carbonic acid, carbaminohemoglobin, and bicarbonates. So let's discuss the transport of these two gases in the different forms in our human body. So very first thing is the transport of oxygen in blood plasma. 3% of oxygen is carried by dissolving in blood plasma. Yes. So oxygen gets dissolved in the blood plasma. Just only 3% of the oxygen gets dissolved in blood plasma, and it is carried through blood plasma. Is it clear? So as oxyhemoglobin is the second component, that is 97% of oxygen is transported by hemoglobin, that is the red colored iron containing pigment on RBC. So as we have discussed, RBC have a red colored pigment, and this red colored pigment, their function is to transport oxygen. So the remaining 97% of oxygen is transported with the help of this hemoglobin in the form of oxyhemoglobin. Yes, so hemoglobin, as we have in this term, we have two parts, that is heme and globin. So heme means the metallic part, that is the iron containing part, and the globin is the proteinaceous part. Yes, so one HB molecule, one HB, one hemoglobin consists of, contains 4 Fe plus ions, 4 Fe2 plus ions. Yes. So one Fe plus Fe2 plus ion can take one oxygen molecule. Therefore, each hemoglobin molecule can take 4 molecules of oxygen, that is 8 atoms of oxygen. Is it clear? 4 molecules refers to 8 atoms. Am I right? Because two oxygen atoms combine together to form a molecule. So one hemoglobin can carry, one hemoglobin has 4 Fe2 plus ions. One Fe2 plus ion can carry one oxygen molecule, and therefore a total one hemoglobin molecule can carry 4 molecules of oxygen or 8 atoms of oxygen. Yes, is it clear? So when you are summing up this calculations, you will get that one hemoglobin molecule, one HB, can carry 4O2 more, 4O2. Is it clear? Yes. So that's about blood plasma in physical solution, blood plasma, and as oxyhemoglobin. Oxygen binds with hemoglobin in a reversible manner to form oxyhemoglobin, and this is called oxygenation. So what is oxygenation? So the binding of oxygen with the blood tissue, with the hemoglobin present in blood cells is referred to as oxygenation, and such a combination of oxygen and hemoglobin forms a new substance known as oxyhemoglobin. Yes, and now as we have discussed, HB has 4 heme units, that is 4 iron units, and each HB molecule can carry 4 oxygen molecules. Yes, so HB4 plus 4O2 giving HB4O8. HB4O8 is the oxyhemoglobin. Is it clear? Binding of oxygen depends on partial pressure of oxygen and partial pressure of carbon dioxide, H plus ion concentration, and temperature. So the factors that are affecting the binding of this oxygen molecule is the partial pressures of oxygen and carbon dioxide, the hydrogen ion concentration, and the temperature. Yes, so these factors affect what binding of oxygen into with hemoglobin. Yes, in alveoli, high partial pressure of oxygen and low partial pressure of carbon dioxide, lesser H plus ion concentration, and lower temperature. These factors favor the formation of oxyhemoglobin. Yes, so the factors that favor the formation of oxyhemoglobin, that is in alveoli, there is high partial pressure of carbon dioxide and low partial pressure of carbon dioxide, and lesser hydrogen ion, lower temperature. So these factors enables the formation of hemoglobin. That is a combination of oxygen with hemoglobin. Therefore, alveoli helps in the gaseous exchange. Yes, in tissues, low partial pressure of oxygen, high partial pressure of carbon dioxide, and high hydrogen ion concentration and higher temperature. Therefore, oxyhemoglobin dissociates to release oxygen ion. Yes, oxygen ion is just released by the dissociation of oxyhemoglobin. Yes, this reversible arrow is given here in tissues, and that's what happening there. Yes. And hope till now it's perfectly fine. Yes. So let's move on with the further topics. Let me check how much left. A very few, that is almost 5 slides is left for you to cover. Yes. So once again, after completing oxygen transport, we will discuss about that. Okay. So every 100 ml of oxygenated blood can deliver around 5 ml of oxygen to the tissues under normal physiological conditions. And all these are facts. I mean, all these are just facts that are occurring in our human body, right? So every 100 ml of oxygenated blood can deliver around 5 ml of O2 to the tissues under normal physiological conditions. Yes, and that's about oxygen transport. And this transportation or the combination of oxygen and hemoglobin is given denoted by or represented by a dissociation curve, and the shape of such a curve is a sigmoid curve, and that is obtained by percentage saturation of hemoglobin with oxygen plotted against partial pressure of oxygen. Yes, percentage saturation of hemoglobin with oxygen and partial pressure of oxygen are againstly plotted each other, and this is used to study the factors like effect of factors like partial pressure of carbon dioxide, hydrogen ion concentration, etc. Yes, so all these factors are partial pressure of carbon dioxide, hydrogen ion concentration, all these affects the binding of oxygen with hemoglobin, as we have discussed earlier. So in order to study the effect of these factors, this graph is used. Is it clear? That's about oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve. Very important graph. Yes, all should be very careful. Okay, so let's move on. Next is carbon dioxide transport. Before that, if everything is perfectly clear, give me thumbs up on the screen. Do it fast. Yes, thank you for your responses. So let's move on with carbon dioxide transport. So what about this carbon dioxide transport that is occurring in case of tissues? So in tissues, partial pressure of carbon dioxide is high due to catabolism and partial pressure of oxygen is low. In lungs, partial pressure of carbon dioxide is low and partial pressure of oxygen is high. So this favors the carbon dioxide transport from tissues to lungs. Yes, because in lungs what happens is that the tissue oxygenated blood purification of blood occurs, therefore the oxygen will be rich in content, so partial pressure of oxygen will be high. So at that case in lungs we cannot say favor the carbon dioxide transport there. So in case of tissues what happens, partial pressure of oxygen is low and partial pressure of carbon dioxide is high. At that time the carbon dioxide comes into role and that favors the carbon dioxide transport from tissues back to lungs. Yes, is it clear? So this may occur in three ways, that is as carbonic acids, as carbaminohemoglobin, and as bicarbonate. So these are the three ways in which carbon dioxide transport occurs. So carbonic acid. In tissue, 7% of carbon dioxide is dissolved in plasma water to form carbonic acid and carry it to lungs. Yes. So 7% of carbon dioxide is dissolved in plasma water to form carbonic acid, and that carbonic acid is further carried to lungs. If you look here, carbon dioxide combining with water, that is a plasma, water in plasma forming carbonic acid, that is H2CO3. This is how transport of carbon dioxide as carbonic acid occurs. Is it clear? So moving on with the next, that is a carbaminohemoglobin. So in tissues, 20 to 25% of carbon dioxide binds with hemoglobin to form carbaminohemoglobin. So 20 to 25% of carbon dioxide is binded with or bound with this hemoglobin to form carbaminohemoglobin, and this carbaminohemoglobin is transported. Is transported into the lungs. So in alveoli, carbon dioxide dissociates it from carbaminohemoglobin, that is carbon dioxide plus HbNH2 forming HbNHCOOH, that is carbaminohemoglobin. Is it clear? HbNHCOOH, that is carbaminohemoglobin. So this carbaminohemoglobin is transported back to lung and it gets dissociated as carbon dioxide and hemoglobin. Is it clear? That's about transportation of carbon dioxide as carbaminohemoglobin. Next is moving with the transport of carbon dioxide as bicarbonate, the last and final slide of the day. Yes, so about 70% of carbon dioxide is transported by this method. 70% of carbon dioxide is transported as bicarbonate ions, and this RBC contains an enzyme called as carbonic anhydrase, and it is slightly present in plasma too. Yes, so at this tissue site, it facilitates the reaction that carbon dioxide plus water in the presence of carbonic anhydrase forming carbonic acid, and this carbonic acid in the presence of carbonic anhydrase dissociating to form bicarbonate ion and H plus ion. So in the alveoli, this reaction proceeds in the opposite direction, leading to the formation of carbon dioxide and water. So opposite direction, in opposite direction, this reaction is proceeding and carbon dioxide and water is formed. Yes, so every 100 ml of deoxygenated blood delivers 4 ml of carbon dioxide to alveoli. And that's about the transportation of carbon dioxide as well. Yes, and successfully we have completed gaseous exchange and transport of gas, one of the most important topic from this chapter. Yes, hope each and everything we have discussed today is clear for you all, right? About transportation of carbon dioxide and oxygen, partial pressure of oxygen and carbon dioxide, how the different factors are affecting the binding of oxygen with hemoglobin. Yes, gaseous exchange, all these things. Hope that's perfectly fine for you. Yes, till then we meet. Do hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe BioPoint, stream the world of bio. And it's me signing on from your favorite and my favorite BioPoint, stream the world of bio. Bye bye.